Hey everybody, it's Chetia. Today we are talking about healing. Healing is defined as to make or become healthy or to be comforted. When's the last time that you felt really comforted within your own skin? So, healing truly is something that is not quick, it's not easy, it can be dirty and messy and frustrating, all of these things. But in order to truly heal, you have to go through each step and each process of those steps to truly understand what it means to be healed. So, a few years ago, I had ankle surgery. I had three surgeries, and each surgery was not easy, but it was easier than the first time. So, the first time I had surgery, going through the physical therapy and the pain of the surgery itself and the healing and something new and different was inside of my body, and now I had to learn how to deal with that being there. It wasn't easy. A lot of days it was really hard. It was really time consuming because my life was on hold because I had to heal. When it comes to your heart, when it comes to your mental health, healing is exactly the same way. It takes time. You have to go through those steps. It's not something that's comfortable, but through comfort, you stay stagnant. You have to be uncomfortable. Understand what I mean? You have to be uncomfortable to understand what healing really means. So, to kind of go back here, I'm going to start talking about healing from heartache and how that plays out when you have or when you've gone through mental health things that you have not healed from either. So I was dating this guy years and years ago. We'll call him Devin. So, Devin, I was madly in love with this guy. He was everything that I thought I wanted in a man. He was everything that I had kind of told myself was right for me. Devin swept me off of my feet, and he told me the things that I wanted to hear. Not for me, not really paying attention to the red flags. So, through the course of this relationship, there was a huge roller coaster all the time, ups, and the ups were amazing. I got to see and do so many different things and meet new people and have all of these exciting adventures. But when that roller coaster dropped and I got to the bottom, I realized that I was only a pawn. I realized that if you truly love someone, you don't hurt them the way that I was hurt or the way that I allowed myself to be hurt. And that goes back to the idea of, do you think that the things that you have gone through or the way that you were raised actively has an impact on your relationships? And I can truly say they do. And it's either good or bad. So, the things that we've gone through and the trauma that we've dealt with, how do those play out into relationships as an adult? We've all been in that situation where you're like, whew, I really dodged a bullet because of certain situations. But you have to go through those things. So, long story short, me and Devin, we broke up. It was really devastating to me. I had to literally change my whole life because I knew that for me to be okay, for me to start to heal, and it's just for me, it was a very personal choice and a very personal thing that I had to do for myself. I couldn't even be in the same state as this person because I felt like at the time I wasn't strong enough to not go back. So I physically had to remove myself from the situation to begin the healing process. So in that healing process, I had to really look internally. So yeah, there were some things that were not okay and not cool and just really, really messed up in my situation, in my relationship. But I had to deal with me and not necessarily the situation. So I really had to do some really deep diving into myself and really ask myself, what do I deserve? What do I need in my life to make me happy? What can I do to make sure that I am healthy? What do I need to work on myself to make sure that I am not settling for less? You know, all these questions were really hard and were really difficult to go through and really work on those things. So I really came to the point where I had to look at the male figures that were around me growing up. What were the things that I saw that were reflective of what I would see later on in the men that I would choose? You know, a lot of times we don't want to accept the fact that we are the only person that chooses who we're with. So you have to think, did I choose this person because I truly love or like or enjoy or, want to be around this person? Or am I just falling into the same idea of what I think is right for me and not what's actually right? What? Who thinks that way? Like, you have to think in any relationship, you have to deal with your own garbage first before you can look at anyone else and say, I'm willing to take on your stuff too, and we can work together as a unit, work together as a business. And if you're not willing to do that and put in that work, what's the whole point? Now, healing, like I said before, it's going to be messy. It's going to be scary, dark, depressing. I've been through those moments when I didn't want to do it anymore. I was so depressed. I mean, truly depressed that I didn't think that I was capable of receiving love. I thought that I knew how to love, but I wasn't sure if I was capable and worthy of the love that I needed. Keyword, not the love that I wanted, but the love that I needed. And that's where it comes into, have you truly healed who you are? So many times people get into these relationships where there's two very broken people that are trying to make something work, make something beautiful, and yet they don't understand true beauty because they don't even see it in themselves. It's kind of devastating, when you think about it, how lonely it can be to be in a relationship, and when you're by yourself while in this relationship, feeling so lonely because you went into a situation without loving and knowing who you are. So, part of my journey to healing was asking all of these questions. And it was also about turning it all the way back around to myself. Did I self sabotage? I did. Did I put myself in really compromising positions for someone else's enjoyment? I did. Did I accept less than what I deserved to make someone else happy? Absolutely. But you don't have to. You don't have to settle for just what someone gives you. You don't have to say, well, this is all they can do, and I'll just take that. When it comes to your heart, you deserve someone that loves you all the way. Not partially, not sometimes, not just on weekends, but fully love you. But that only comes with loving yourself. You know, I have been through a lot of therapy, mental health work, and getting to the bottom of what's really going on. I've been with my current therapist for a really long time. Dr. Sherrod, she's amazing. And I remember the very first meeting we had together. And she said something to me that has stuck with me over the years. And I tell people all the time because now it is such an important thing to me. And she said this. She said, "You cannot pour from an empty cup. How can you expect to give anyone anything from yourself if you have not replenished your supply?" And that goes for relationships, jobs, children, your partner. How can you truly give everyone what they need if you have not given the same love to yourself? When she told me that, literally it was like a smack to the face. And I was like, wow. I'd never thought about it that way. So I've taken that over the years and I really put it into play into every situation. I'm okay with telling my best friends, I love you guys, but I just can't do XYZ because I don't have it in me today. Maybe later. Another thing with healing is being okay with saying one word. What's that one word? That one word is no. You know how powerful it is to be okay with saying no? And I'm not saying like a really, upset or emotional no. I'm just talking about a firm, matter of fact, no. No. And you don't have to prove to anybody why you continue to say no. You can say no. What's the worst it's going to do because you said no? Someone's not going to like it? That's their problem, not yours. Be okay with saying no. Another thing that has been really prolific in my healing is taking time and being quiet. Silence. Sometimes when you are going through the dark passages of the healing, learning who you are, asking questions about your very existence, trying to figure out what you need to do, when you actually sit there and be quiet, you answer yourself a lot of times. A lot of times. Being okay with being alone was probably the hardest thing for me. Being alone and being quiet and just listening is hard. It's hard, especially when you're already in this place where you're conflicted and hurting and depressed and all of this stuff, and you got things going on and people are needing things from you. But you have to make a point to say, I need 5, 10, 15 minutes of just being quiet and sitting there and working on you for just that one block of time. There's 24 hours in a day. Why can't we take 5, 10, 15 minutes in our 24 hours to be quiet? Process things. You can't clearly process things that are going on in your head when you have so many outside distractions going on and so many people asking, taking, giving, doing all this stuff. 15 minutes just to be quiet. It's so important. It's so important. Every day, I take my 10 to 15 minutes. It's necessary. Because there in that moment, there in that time of when you are not physically speaking and no one is physically talking to you, you can actually process the thoughts and the emotions and what's next, and to keep moving. It's necessary. So another thing that has helped me throughout my healing, once again, my wonderful therapist told me that it is so important, probably the most important, is changing the internal tape recorder that is telling you that you're not worthy. That internal tape recorder that's telling you it's not enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not skinny enough. You don't have enough money. You don't have a good job. This internal tape recorder that keeps playing over and over and over again, telling you that you are not fill in the blank. Changing that internal tape recorder to say, I am enough. I am strong. I am worthy. I can do this. I am great in who I am. I can conquer anything that's coming at me. These are the things that we have to say to ourselves. And it sounds absolutely crazy and out of this world. Who is this lady? She doesn't know what she's talking about. But I promise you, when you have those conversations with yourself and tell yourself the things that you can do, the things that you can accomplish, how wonderful you are, the perfect you is right in front of you, when you can have that conversation, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Because at that point, you don't need validation from anyone else. You don't need validation from your boss to say that, hey, you did a great job today, because you already know. You don't need validation from that cute guy at the Starbucks that wants to, give you his number. You don't need the validation that you're worthy of him, because you are. You get to make that choice. You don't need the validation of someone telling you, I don't know if you work in this situation. That's fine. You don't have to, because you have already instilled, once again, poured into your own cup such wonderful thoughts that anyone else's validation isn't necessary, because you're important. You're beautiful. You can do all these things. So, stick along with me. We're going to go through a lot of different avenues, some coping skills that help me. We're going to talk about just different things that we can do to change that conversation that we have with ourselves, to be able to unpack all of the stuff from our past, to be able to say, this is what I was dealt. How can I use it to make things better? How can I take all of this stuff that I've accumulated over the years and shine it up and make it better? The things that happen to us do not define us. They are just part of our story. They're part of our journey. And no one should be ashamed of taking that journey, because we don't know where this journey will take us. Be excited. Be ready to heal. Be ready to unload. Be ready to talk and be transparent. Be ready. I'm ready. Thanks.